Laura Bennett knew something was wrong before anyone said a word. Her father's place card was sitting at the far end of the table, not beside her, not beside Claire, not even near the rest of the family. At 78, Henry had been beside Laura at nearly every family birthday she could remember. Tonight, somebody had placed him alone at the end. Laura picked up the card. Claire? Why is Grandpa sitting here? Her daughter didn't look embarrassed. Because that's his seat. Move him next to me. No. Laura stepped closer. This is my birthday dinner. I'm asking you to move him. Claire folded a napkin and placed it beside another plate. And I'm telling you it's better this way. Better for who? Claire finally looked at her. You will understand in a minute. Laura hated that answer. But she hated scenes even more. So instead of pushing, she put the place card back. That was her first mistake. 10 minutes later, Henry came through the door carrying a small bakery box. There she is, he said when he saw Laura. 54, and still pretending birthdays don't count. Laura hugged him. You brought something? Emergency pie. In case your cake is terrible. She laughed. But Henry's smile faded when he saw the table. His eyes moved from Laura's seat to Claire's, then to the chair waiting for him at the far end. For half a second, nobody spoke. Henry picked up his place card. Well, he said quietly, guess I've been promoted. Laura felt the heat rise in her face. Dad, sit next to me. Before he could move, Claire stepped in. No, Grandpa, please sit there. Henry looked at her. Why? Claire reached beside her chair and pulled out a blue folder. Because we need to talk tonight. Henry's expression changed. Laura noticed it immediately. Not confusion. Recognition. Claire set the folder on the table. I made an appointment for Monday morning. There's a senior living community about 15 minutes from Mom. They have an opening, and I think we should tour it together. Nobody moved. Henry stared at the folder. Claire kept going. This isn't about forcing anything. It's just time we stop pretending everything's fine. Henry placed the bakery box on the counter. Then he slowly folded his napkin. Grandpa. No. His voice wasn't loud. That somehow made it worse. Claire stood. You haven't even heard me. I heard enough. Laura reached for his arm. Dad, please. Sit down. We'll talk. Henry looked at her. For 1 second, Laura thought he might. Then his eyes dropped toward the chair at the end of the table. She'd already decided what I was before I walked through the door. He put on his coat. And before anyone cut Laura's birthday cake, Henry Bennett left. Laura caught him before he reached his truck. Dad. Henry kept walking. Dad, please. He stopped beside the driver's door but didn't turn him around. Laura stood behind him. Come back inside. No. Claire handled it badly. Henry gave a short laugh. Badly. I'm not defending her. That's exactly what everybody says right before they defend somebody. Laura stepped closer. She shouldn't have done that at dinner. She shouldn't have done it at all. You don't have to move anywhere. Henry finally turned. That's not the point. What's the point? His jaw tightened. The point is that everybody gets older, Laura. That doesn't mean they stop being in the room. She didn't answer. Henry glanced toward the house. She put me at the end of that table like I was a problem they were about to discuss. I'll talk to her. You should have talked to her before I got there. The words landed cleanly. Laura knew he was right. She had seen the chair. She had known something was off, and because she didn't want to ruin the evening, she had waited. Henry opened his truck door. "Dad, at least let Tom drive you. I can drive home." The answer came too quickly. Laura noticed that. But before she could ask another question, Henry was already inside. He pulled away. When Laura went back in, the cake still hadn't been touched. Claire was standing in the kitchen with her arms crossed. Laura shut the door. "What were you thinking?" Claire's face hardened. "There it is." "There what is?" "The part where I'm the bad guy. You embarrassed him in front of everybody. I tried talking to him privately. So you humiliate him publicly." "I did not humiliate him. You put him at the end of the table. Because I didn't want him sitting beside you while you spent the whole night helping him dodge the conversation." Laura stared at her. "You planned that?" "Yes." The answer made her angrier. Claire walked to the table and lifted the blue folder. "You think I woke up today and decided to be cruel? I think you treated your grandfather like a child. And I think you have no idea what's been happening." Claire opened the folder. Inside were brochures, appointment notes, medication lists, and pages with Henry's name across the top. Laura's anger slowed. "What is all this?" "6 months," Claire said. "Prescriptions, spoiled groceries, missed bills, driving across town because he won't answer his phone. He has never told me. That's the problem, he doesn't tell you." Claire pulled out her phone. "Do you know how many times I went over there last month?" Laura didn't answer. 9. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I did." "No, you didn't." "Yes, Mom, I did. I told you Grandpa was getting harder to manage. I told you he was missing things. I told you I was worried. You said he needed more help." "And what did you say?" Laura already knew. Claire answered anyway. "You said he's always been independent. Give him some space." Laura felt something drop inside her. Claire continued. "You call him. You take him to lunch. You ask how he's doing. That matters." "I know it matters." "Then don't say it like it doesn't. I'm saying you get the version of Grandpa he wants you to see." Claire pushed the folder across the counter. "I get the calls when something goes wrong." Laura looked toward Tom. He had stayed quiet. Too quiet. "Did you know about this?" Tom hesitated. "I knew Claire was helping more." "How much more?" "I didn't know all of it." Claire laughed once. "Of course." Laura turned back. "So, your solution is putting him in a facility? My solution is making sure I don't find him on the floor one day because everyone wanted to protect his feelings." The room went still. Laura heard the fear underneath the anger. That was new. She picked up the folder. "What happened, Claire?" Claire looked away. "Ask Grandpa." The next morning, Laura stood in her father's kitchen. Henry was making coffee as if nothing had happened. "You didn't answer my calls." "I was asleep. I called at 9. I went to sleep early." "You've never gone to sleep at 9 in your life." Henry poured coffee into 2 mugs. "You come here to interrogate me, or drink this?" "Both." He slid a mug toward her. Laura sat. For a minute, neither spoke. Then Henry said, "You don't have to fix this." "I'm not trying to fix anything." "You have that look." "What look?" "The one you had when you were 12 and broke your mother's lamp." Laura almost smiled. "Almost. Claire says she's been helping you a lot." Henry stirred his coffee. "Claire likes helping." "That isn't what she said." "Then she should stop." Laura stared at him. "That's your answer?" What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me what's going on. Nothing's going on. Dad, but I'm old, Laura. Sometimes I forget things. Did you miss your electric bill? 1. Claire says 2. Henry shrugged. Then 2. Did food go bad in your refrigerator? It happens. Did you miss a doctor's appointment? I wrote the wrong date. Laura leaned back. Every answer was possible. That was what made it difficult. None of them sounded catastrophic alone. Together, they sounded different. Her eyes moved to his arm. A purple-yellow bruise ran from near his elbow toward his wrist. What happened there? Henry pulled his sleeve down. Nothing. Dad, I bumped it. On what? Something in the garage? You don't remember? I remember. Then what? Henry put down his spoon. What exactly did Claire tell you? She told me to ask you. That girl loves drama. Laura stood. Stop. Henry looked up. You're doing the same thing she did. No. Claire decided what should happen to you without asking. And I'm asking. Henry's expression hardened. I can take care of myself. Then, tell me what happened to your arm. Silence. Henry looked toward the window. Laura waited. She would normally have filled the silence. Changed the subject. Made a joke. Not this time. Finally, Henry stood and walked toward a small stack of papers near the telephone. He pulled something from underneath an old utility bill. A discharge sheet. Laura read the name of an urgent care clinic. Then the date. 3 weeks earlier. She looked up. You fell. Henry sat down again. Basement steps. Did you hit your head? No. Were you alone? Yes. How long were you down? I wasn't down. Dad. I caught myself. I landed hard. My arm took most of it. And you went to urgent care. Eventually. Who took you? I drove. Laura closed her eyes. Claire knows. She found the paperwork. That's why she's scared. That's why she's acting like I'm incompetent. You hit a fall. Because I knew exactly what she'd do. Laura held up the paper. She didn't create this. Henry's face tightened. Neither spoke for several seconds. Then Laura remembered something else. Last night. What? When I offered to have Tom drive you, you got defensive. Henry said nothing. Dad, what's happening with your driving? My driving is fine. Your daytime driving? His silence answered before he did. Laura's stomach tightened. Your eyes. Henry rubbed his forehead. Nighttime's gotten harder. How much harder? Lights blur. And you still drove home last night. It's 10 minutes. That doesn't make it safe. I got home. That doesn't make it safe. Henry looked at her sharply. Whose side are you on? Laura stood very still. It would have been easier to tell him his side. To calm him down. Instead, she said, I don't think there should be sides. Henry looked away. Laura placed the discharge paper on the table. I'm angry at Claire for what she did. Good. And I'm angry at you for making it easier for her to believe she had to. Henry looked back at her. That one hurt him. Laura could see it. But she didn't take it back. Henry didn't speak for almost a minute. Then he said, You came here to take her side. I came here because I love you. That sounds nice. It's also true. You think I need somebody to babysit me? No. A nursing home? I didn't say that. Give up my truck. I didn't say that either. Henry pushed his chair back. Then what are you saying? Laura took a breath. I'm saying if you want a real say in what happens next, you have to stop hiding the things that scare everybody. Henry laughed bitterly. So, that's the deal? I confess every mistake and earn the right to keep my own house? No. Sounds like it. Dad, you fell. You hit it. Your vision is getting worse. Claire has been doing things for you that I didn't even know needed doing. I never asked her to. That doesn't mean they didn't need doing. Henry turned away. Laura forced herself not to soften the sentence. I want an outside opinion. He looked back. From who? Someone who can assess the house and tell us what is actually unsafe. No. You didn't even think about it. I don't need to. Then I don't know what else to say. Henry's face changed. Laura picked up her purse. You're leaving? Yes. Because I won't agree with you? No. Because I'm not going to stand here and have the same argument for an hour. She moved toward the door. That was new, too. Her whole life, Laura had believed every family argument had to end with everyone calmer than when it started. Usually that meant she gave something away. An opinion, a boundary, a question. This time she put her hand on the door. Behind her, Henry said, "What would this person do?" Laura turned. "Look at the house. Ask questions. See what you can do safely and what needs changing. And then Claire gets the report. You get the report." Henry studied her. "I answer the questions." "Yes." "Not you." "Yes." "Not Claire." "Yes." "And nobody talks about me like I'm not there." Laura nodded. "Agreed." 2 days later, Henry walked through his home with a professional assessor, while Laura stayed mostly quiet. The basement needed another railing. The lighting near the stairs wasn't good enough. A loose rug had to go. His medication system was confusing. Then came driving. The assessor asked whether Henry drove at night. Henry hesitated. Laura said nothing. Finally, he answered, "Not anymore." Laura looked at him. He didn't look back. The assessor asked why. "Vision." That was all Henry said. But it was the first time he had said it out loud without somebody dragging the admission from him. Other parts went better. Henry knew his bills. He managed ordinary household tasks safely. He moved through the house easily. He knew his medications, even if organizing the bottles had become harder. At the end, the conclusion was less dramatic than everyone had feared. There were risks, real ones. But there was no obvious reason Henry had to leave his home immediately. The recommendations were practical. Better rails. Improved lighting. Medication packs. Regular check-ins. Transportation, until he had a proper vision evaluation. Help with heavier household tasks. And one recommendation Henry particularly hated. Until the basement railing and lighting were repaired, he shouldn't use those stairs alone. Henry stared at the report. "My tools are down there." The assessor repeated the recommendation. Henry looked at Laura as though she had personally designed the staircase. She said nothing. When they were alone again, Henry read the report twice. Then he placed it on the kitchen table. "Well," Laura waited. He sighed. "I hate when paperwork makes sense." "So you'll do it?" "Some of it." "Dad, they thought." "Most of it." Laura laughed despite herself. Then Henry tapped the report. "You telling Claire?" "We are." His smile disappeared. He didn't argue. That mattered too. Claire read the assessment in Laura's living room. Laura expected relief. Instead, Claire put the report down. "And who's going to do all of this?" Laura blinked. "We'll figure it out." Claire gave a tired laugh. "Who is we?" "Man, Tom, you. Grandpa is the person who needs help. He can't also be the help." "I know that." "Then who takes him to appointments?" "I can." "Who checks his medication?" "We'll work it out." Claire shook her head. "No, Mom. That's exactly what everybody keeps saying." Laura felt herself getting defensive. "Claire, I'm trying." "I thought he was dead." Laura stopped. Claire stared at the assessment on the table. "The night I found out about his fall, I called him 6 times. Her voice had changed. No anger now. Just something raw. He didn't answer. His truck was outside. The lights were on. Laura sat down. I went over there and stood at his front door, thinking I was about to walk inside and find my grandfather dead on the floor. Claire, he wasn't." She swallowed. "He was in the backyard. He'd left his phone in the kitchen." Laura said nothing. "Then I found the urgent care paperwork." Now Laura understood. Claire wiped beneath one eye. "So when he doesn't answer now, that's where my brain goes." "Why didn't you tell me?" Claire looked at her. "I was tired of explaining why I was worried. The words hurt more than the accusations had." "You love Grandpa," Claire said. "I know that. I do. But loving him and managing what he needs aren't the same thing." Laura looked toward the assessment. Claire continued. "I pick up prescriptions. I replace groceries when half the refrigerator has expired. Last month I went over there 9 times. 9. That was enough. Laura didn't need another list. I let you do too much." Claire went quiet. Laura forced herself to continue. "You told me he needed more help, and I kept saying he was independent." "Because he is independent." "Partly." Claire looked at her. Laura nodded toward the report. "He can still do a lot. More than you were giving him credit for. And less than you were pretending." Laura couldn't argue with that. "I thought giving him space meant respecting him." Claire waited. "And maybe sometimes it did." Laura took a breath. "Other times I was avoiding what was happening." Claire looked down. "I shouldn't have put him at the end of the table." "No, I know. You shouldn't have scheduled that appointment like his answer didn't matter." "I know that too." Laura pushed the assessment between them. "But you were right about one thing." Claire looked up. "This cannot keep falling on you." For the first time since Laura walked into the room, Claire's expression softened. Laura picked up a notebook. "We're not going to say, 'The family will help.'" She opened to a blank page. "We're putting names next to things?" Claire looked skeptical. "And when everyone gets busy, you don't silently take everything back. That sounds great until Grandpa needs something. Then he calls the person whose name is on the page. And if they don't show up," Laura met her eyes, "then we deal with the person who failed." She paused. "Not you." Claire looked back at the report. "What if Grandpa refuses?" Laura closed the notebook. "Then I stop protecting him from what refusing means." Henry looked at Laura's notebook. "What's that?" "A plan." "I already hate it." "You haven't seen it." "I know you." Laura sat across from him. "The rails get fixed. The lighting gets fixed. Medication goes into organized packs. Groceries get delivered. and you accept some help with the heavier stuff." Henry frowned. Some. He pointed at the notebook. "And the basement. Until the railing and lighting are repaired, you don't use those stairs alone. My tools are downstairs. I know. I've been walking those stairs for 30 years. And 3 weeks ago you fell on them." Henry's jaw tightened. Laura waited. Henry muttered, "Fine." Then she said, "Driving. No nighttime driving. No. Driving until your eye appointment. That could take weeks. Yes. I can see perfectly well during the day." The assessor disagreed. Henry leaned back. "So Claire gets what she wants. This isn't about Claire. It's always about Claire now." Laura closed the notebook. Henry stared at her. "There you go again. What? You stop arguing." "Yes. It's irritating. I'm learning to live with that." He almost smiled. Then the smile disappeared. Finally he said, "Fine. Until the eye appointment." Laura reopened the notebook. That was enough negotiation. The rest was practical. Laura would handle Tuesday appointments when possible. Tom would take the house repairs. Henry would pay for limited home assistance and transportation. Claire's name would not automatically appear beside every difficult job. When they finished, Henry read the page. "So everybody gets a schedule for keeping the old man alive. You helped write half of it." "Still ugly." Laura smiled. Then something occurred to her. "Why did you tell the assessor you don't drive at night anymore?" Henry didn't answer. "You said, 'Not anymore.'" "So? But you drove home from my birthday." Henry looked away. Laura waited. Finally he said, "I'd already decided." "Decided what?" "That I shouldn't be driving at night." Laura stared at him. "Before my birthday?" "Yes." "Why didn't you tell Claire?" Henry rubbed his hands together. "Because she doesn't ask what I'm willing to change. That's not completely fair." "It's fair enough." "Dad." Henry tapped the notebook. "You asked." Laura said nothing. "You said, 'Will you stop driving until the doctor checks your eyes?'" "Yes." "Claire says, 'You can't drive anymore.'" Henry looked at her. "Maybe the result is the same." Then he tapped his chest. "But one of those sentences still has me in it." Laura understood. That was what Henry had been fighting. Not every railing. Not every pill pack. Not even every restriction. He was terrified that each thing he surrendered would become evidence that somebody else deserved the next decision. "You still drove angry that night." "I know. You could have hurt somebody." "I know." There was no defense this time. Laura nodded. "Sunday. You, me, Claire." Henry groaned. "No. Nobody's deciding where you live." He stopped. "You promise? You decide where you live." Henry relaxed slightly. "But Claire decides what Claire can keep doing." That part hit harder. Henry looked at the notebook. Laura continued, "If you never asked her to carry all of this, then she's allowed to put some of it down." He didn't like that. But after several seconds, he nodded. Sunday. There were only 3 chairs around Laura's kitchen table on Sunday. Henry noticed. "No assigned seating?" "Sit wherever you want," Laura said. Henry chose the chair facing the window. Claire sat across from him. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Claire said, "I'm sorry about your seat at dinner." Henry looked at her. "I was angry. I was scared. and I thought if I didn't force the conversation, everyone would avoid it again. You embarrassed me. I know. You talked about my future like I wasn't sitting there. I know. Claire took a breath. I handled it wrong. Henry didn't forgive her immediately. Laura was glad. Some things shouldn't disappear because somebody finally says the correct sentence. Claire continued. But I can't keep doing what I've been doing. I never asked you to. I know. Then stop. I am. Henry looked surprised. Claire folded her hands. I can help. I want to help. But I cannot be the person responsible for your medication, food, appointments, bills, house, and whether you answer your phone. I don't need all of that. You fell and hit it. Henry looked away. You kept driving when you knew your eyesight was getting worse. I know. And you didn't answer when I called. I was outside. I thought you were dead. Henry looked back at her. Claire's voice shook. I stood outside your house thinking I was about to find you on the floor. Henry's expression softened. You never told me that. You don't exactly make those conversations easy. Henry nodded slowly. That may be true. Claire looked almost startled by the admission. Then Henry said, You shouldn't have had to carry all of it. Claire's eyes filled. But being scared for me doesn't make you me. Claire looked down. I know. Laura opened the notebook. Before we decide anything, I need to say something too. Henry looked at her. Claire did as well. I saw Claire doing more. I knew she was worried. Laura swallowed. And I kept telling myself Dad was independent because it meant I didn't have to ask harder questions. Henry's expression changed. I thought giving you space meant respecting you. She looked at him. Sometimes it did. Then she looked at Claire. Sometimes it meant I left you holding everything. Claire lowered her eyes. Laura placed the assessment beside the notebook. The recommendation is that Dad can stay in his house if the safety changes happen and the support is reliable. Claire immediately shook her head. For now, yes. And when he falls again? Henry started to object. Claire didn't let him. No, that's the question. She looked at Laura. When he falls again, which one of you is going to tell me keeping him? There was worth it. The room went still. There it was. The fear none of them could promise away. Laura didn't tell Claire everything would be fine. She couldn't. Instead, she reached into her purse. Henry's truck keys landed on the table. Claire looked at them. Laura turned the notebook around. Tom starts the basement railing tomorrow. She pointed to the next line. The outside lighting is booked. Another. Medication packs start this week. Another. My Tuesdays are blocked for appointments. Another. Transportation is arranged until Dad's vision test. Claire looked at Henry. You gave her the keys? Henry frowned. Temporarily. Grandpa. Yes. Claire stared at him. Henry sighed. I knew before the birthday that I shouldn't be driving at night. Her expression hardened again. And you still drove home. I was angry. That makes it worse. I know. No excuse. No argument. Just the truth. Henry looked at her. I need help. The words seemed physically difficult for him. I hate saying that. Claire didn't interrupt. But I need to be part of deciding what help looks like. Claire looked at the keys again. Then at the scheduled repairs. Then at Laura. What happens when this stops working? Laura answered immediately. We reassess. Including where he lives. Henry stiffened. Laura looked directly at her father. Yes. Henry started to speak, then stopped. Laura continued. We are not promising Dad stays in that house forever. She looked at Claire. We are promising that nobody decides he leaves it before the facts say he needs to. Claire remained silent. Henry finally said, And if the facts change, we talk again. Claire looked at him. You mean that? I don't like it. That wasn't my question. Henry sighed. Yes. For the first time, Claire seemed to believe the plan might actually be different. Not because somebody gave a beautiful speech. Because things had already changed. The keys were on the table. Repairs were booked. Responsibilities had names. Henry had already given up something that mattered. Claire finally nodded. Okay. Henry raised an eyebrow. Okay. A trial. Henry smiled slightly. I'll take it. Claire wiped beneath one eye. Then she looked at him. I am sorry. I put you at the end of the table. Henry's smile disappeared. Not because I was worried, she continued. I'm still worried. Fair enough. I'm sorry. Because I made the conversation happen around you instead of with you. Henry looked toward the empty chair beside her, then back at his granddaughter. Next time, ask me where I want to sit. Claire smiled. Okay. They didn't hug. Not yet. Laura closed the notebook. For once, that was enough. 3 weeks later, Laura hosted another small dinner. No intervention. No audience. No blue folder waiting on the table. Claire carried the plates in. She reached toward one chair, stopped, and looked at Henry. Grandpa. Yes. Where do you want to sit? Henry surveyed the table. Laura half expected him to take the head just to make a point. Instead, he pulled out the chair beside Claire. This one's fine. Claire smiled. Near the door sat Henry's old canvas bag. Inside it was the blue senior living folder. He had kept it. Not because Claire had won. Not because Henry had surrendered. Because one day he might decide to look at it himself. And that made all the difference. Tom carried out the cake they never got to share on Laura's birthday. Henry stared at it. That thing isn't 3 weeks old, is it? Laura laughed. It's new. Good. For a second, I thought you people had found another way to get rid of me. Claire groaned. Grandpa. Henry smiled. Laura cut the first slice. This time, he stayed. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who understands why helping somebody should never mean taking away their voice. And follow Curves and Crowns stories for more.